Hello, everyone. Aaliyah here from Tinted Salt. We're sitting here at Tinted Salt today, and I have the honor and privilege of having a chat with our friend Tanya. So we're going to get right into it. Tanya, tell us a little bit about what you offer with your business.
Well, as far as just my basic business or what we're talking about today?
Let's talk about the epigenetic stuff because that's like really
Specific.
what,
Okay.
that's like
Okay.
what I'm really interested in.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit
Okay.
about that.
All right. So, well, just a small little intro though. I am a certified holistic health coach and a gut health specialist, and I use epigenetic testing as part of my business model. So, epigenetics, for those of you who don't know, or do I need to say
Yeah,
that?
because that's what I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
What is epigenetic testing?
Okay.
Tell us about it. What is
Yes.
it exactly? And why is it that so many people are going towards getting epigenetic testing as opposed to getting a blood work per se? Not that you shouldn't get blood work, but just,
right. So epigenetics is basically, if we want to talk about epigenetics itself first, it's the science behind why we are not victims to our genetic inheritance. So why we inherit certain genes, of course, those are passed down from our ancestors, but we do not have to be a victim to that genetic inheritance. And so that's kind of what the science is behind epigenetics. Epigenetic testing specifically can be done with the hair analysis, which is a functional lab. And so a lot of people have heard of hair analysis and not necessarily epigenetic testing.
Yeah.
Right? So hair analysis is a form of that epigenetic testing, which is a functional lab that measures chemical modifications to DNA, indicating environmental and lifestyle factors that affect gene expression. So basically what that means is that, again, we have our genes, which are kind of a small part of the equation when it comes to our health. In fact, they say about 5 to 7% of our health is actually related to our genes, whereas the other 95 up to 95% of our environmental factors are really what contribute to our state of health. And so that's really what we want to look at. And that gives us a lot of hope in knowing that we can make some significant changes and impact our health directly by those choices.
Awesome. So, okay, now I have a question. How is it that a single hair can tell you a lot about your health?
Well, so hair is an interesting thing, right? So, a lot of times we think of labs again from blood work. And the hair actually is kind of like an antenna that's always detecting, especially the hair follicle. So we have the hair shaft and then we have the hair follicle. And the hair follicle is kind of like the rings of a tree, and we may discuss that a little bit further, but where it's constantly collecting data. And that data is stored in that follicle. And so with the hair analysis, what we want to do is make sure, because it is alive, it's a living thing right there. When you pluck out the hair, you're getting that energetic, frequency, right from the hair bulb. And that's when we want to do the test within that 3 minutes of time to pick up that data and what it's showing.
Okay, that's really interesting. Tell us what made you want to offer this service to your clients? What was it about it that made it unique and different from anything else?
Yeah, well, I have always been curious on all of the root factors impacting our health. So unlike traditional modern medicine, which has its place, which looks at symptoms and managing symptoms, I want to know what's really going on beneath the surface. And that was part of my story of like really understanding my body and why I was having some of the problems and challenges that I was having, is looking at what was really contributing beneath the surface, because it's all about the cells. Like, what is happening within our cells? What are those factors that are impacting that cellular, that gene expression, So that's why I thought this was something that I really wanted to do. I did it for myself, and it gave me a lot of answers into things that, again, beneath the surface that I wasn't aware of that were contributing to, my state of health at the time.
Yeah, I think sometimes people are lost and they don't know where to go. And they've tried all sorts of different modern medicine, as you mentioned, and they're not getting the answers that they want. So it's great to have this option now where we can take a single hair and be able to tell all sorts of things that otherwise we wouldn't be able to tell, right?
Right.
So tell us, like, what kind of things could it possibly reveal, and what kinds of things can it not reveal?
Okay. So first of all, there's basically between 4 to 6 hair bulbs is what we want to aim for when doing this. So it's not just a single bulb, but we want to get 4 to 6 hair.
I have to offer you 4 of my precious hair. Okay, fine, I will do that.
Yes, just to, get as much data. And I mean, it's a painless process too.
Yeah.
It's just, plucking the hair. But basically what it reveals, it kind of looks at what systems of the body, first of all, when you get your report, it's going to look at the top systems being impacted by, again, those underlying factors. So we're going to look at, what is specifically out of balance maybe in your body, and then it will give a list of things that could be contributing to those particular imbalances. So it will look at vitamins, maybe some vitamin needs that you have. There's basically 16 or more vitamins and minerals each, that your body, that are kind of priorities, right? And so we'll look at that. It will look at your essential fatty acids. It will look at your amino acids. It will look at, again, environmental factors like chemicals and toxic metals and parasites, if you have those, or mold, exposures. There's a gut page that looks at, what may be impacting your gut. We'll look at even food intolerances or foods to avoid or to use to support your body. So it's really about looking at primarily the lifestyle factors like your diet, as well as, again, those outside sources that we can't always avoid, right? Those environmental factors. And that's what it's going to kind of pinpoint, or what are those areas that we need to address that may need some support. And then as far as what it's not going to cover, it's not going to show, if there's, you have a thyroid issue or, hormonal type issues, what hormones are out of balance. So it's not going to look at those specific things. You'll want to have maybe some, specific testing for that if you're looking for, those kind of hormonal imbalances. But what this is going to really show you is maybe why those hormones are out of balance to begin with. And again, it's because of those basic cellular needs. So
okay. And then how often do you recommend someone do this? Like, how often should someone?
So I would say, depending on what is going on, you may want to get your hair analysis, and then 3 months later is the kind of the time frame to retest if you wanted to. So over 3 months, you want to wait for a 90-day period. So basically what the epigenetic test looks at is kind of the last 90 days of what has been impacting your biology in that time. It could go beyond, but usually it's that 90-day snapshot of what it's looking at. So you want to kind of, test sometimes, a few months after, just to see what changes have been made since that time.
And then during those wait periods, are you offering recommendations of different remedies or supplements or anything else during that time to see what the difference would be in 3 to 6 months, let's say post your first epigenetic testing?
Yes, absolutely. So when you get your report, so we do the test, you get a 30+ page report. And I go through that with the client. So we go through and read through it and look at what needs to be, again, addressed, and certain needs that your body may have. And then I create a personalized wellness plan based on those things that are showing up in the report. So it will include, lifestyle things. It will, of course, include nutrition. If there's certain supplements that can help, I definitely can recommend those. So yes, the goal is to not just get the report, but do something about it, and then see how those things may affect and impact their health going forward.
Okay. Now, I know that there's a lot of people that are going to come at us and say, well, this is not medical help. But that's not what we want to do, right? We want to have an alternative to Western medicine. So do you feel that your clients are getting what they want out of this in the long term?
Yeah, well, I feel like a lot of my clients are actually coming because they've done the medical things, they've done the labs, and maybe they're coming with like no answers. I've done the lab work and everything checks out normal, or, I've done these things, or I'm on these different medications and I'm still struggling. And so what this does is it gives them that added knowledge of like, let's problem solve from the whole body. Again, the difference with modern medicine, which does have its place, right?
Absolutely.
It has its place, but it's addressing primarily the symptoms. And we're addressing the root cause. That's what my goal is, to really look at what is beneath the surface.
Yeah.
And everyone has basic needs nutritionally. And that's something that usually we take for granted, those little primary needs that we need to have on a daily basis. And if we're having, those different things impacting us and we're not addressing that, then we're still going to have those same problems. They're just going to show up later and worse
in different ways,
if we don't,
right?
In different ways, yeah, if we don't take care of them. And if we're just masking them with a medication, which can be needed initially, but long-term, not so much.
Okay, so let's get down to how long does it take for you to do this testing in total? Like, let's say from the time the client sits down until you hand over the report, how much time is needed?
Typically, it's just 15 minutes.
Okay.
So we just sit down, I enter the information, do the hair pluck, put it in the scan, and it comes back in about 15 minutes. So it's really quick. The technology it's $1 billion technology. I can't explain the technology, and I don't know how exactly it works, but basically goes to a lab in Germany, comes back, and the full report is there. So,
oh my God,
there's a lot of
that's
answers
incredible
in a short period of time.
That's incredible.
Figured it out. So
now, question: what is like the most surprising or interesting thing that you have found for a client that they were like, "Whoa! Like I've been searching forever for this, and this is now giving me the answer that I want."
Yeah, I think a lot of clients are surprised that some of the answers may be very simple, actually. So, some may be dealing with things that they've been struggling with for many months or even years. And so they may be surprised at, a parasite is showing up.
Oh.
And of course, we don't know where that parasite is,
Yeah.
It's not going to tell us what part of our body. And that's the other thing too, is it's not going to pinpoint exactly where it is in your body, right? So, or where you were exposed to mold, as an example. So it's just going to have that as it's detecting that in your body. And so sometimes they're surprised because they had no idea that was actually the root cause of all the things that they've been struggling with. So yeah, sometimes it's a surprise at, what's showing up, and other times the surprise is in the simplicity of the things that are just, again, basic foundational things.
Yeah, things that we don't think about.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, as far as our nutrition. So, but the thing too with blood labs is that they only look at the last 24 hours typically. So our blood labs can change, and obviously our body's constantly changing too. And so you'll see that, again, our blood work will only show what's in those 24 hours.
Yeah.
Whereas the hair analysis, again, it collects that data for the last 90 days.
I'm super excited because we're going to do a testing on me, and we're going to review the results, and we're going to do all of that in 15 minutes. So hang in there, and we'll be right back.